Many of my Democratic colleagues, some Republicans, they've been acting like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. They're running around. They call the president a warmonger. They call the secretary of war a war criminal. They're speaking directly to our folks in the military, telling them to disobey orders. They're out of control.
Ah, yes, Senator John Kennedy telling the truth again. Nothing gets you in trouble like the truth. It's a funny town, this Washington, D.C. Truth is not in fashion. Quite the opposite. Go like this. Can't resist. Also, I want to share with you that thanks to you, our beloved listeners, Americans, we have thus far raised $80,756 for Fisher House this morning. Today and tomorrow throughout the day on my mothership radio station in Washington, WMAL. Raising lots of good stuff. Good money. And I've got more that I want to get to on these lunatics. They're pro-narco-terrorist, narco-trafficker. They're pro-drug overdoses, fatal drug overdoses in the United States of America. Democrat Party might as well be a cartel. They might as well be ISIS. If you're ISIS, they're pro-you. If you are the Medellin cartel or whichever cartel you like, the Jalisco cartel, that's how I still miss Ted Kennedy singing about Jalisco, Jalisco, Jalisco. Didn't know he was singing about the cartel, but now we know. We've got that. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. I haven't talked to any of the nice American people yet. We remain at 888-630-9625. You can call us. And to contribute money today to Fisher House, the number there is 888-294-8560. 888-294-8560 for Fisher House. And that $1 million donation, it's, hey, dinner, you got to have money. Don't break the bank or anything like that. But got a lot of people out there with a lot of money. I've read that in the papers. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Peter calling from McLean, Virginia. Pedro, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Brother Chris. Good to speak with you again. Merry Christmas to you and yours, and thank you for all you do for the Fisher House.
Oh, thank you. I love Fisher House. They're the greatest organization. You don't want to have to be involved with Fisher House, but should that day come, boy, it's great to have Fisher House there.
Yeah, thank God for them, and thank you for all you do. Hey, a little historical context for the current debate around drug enforcement. In World War II, we lost 3,000 men when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. We went on to lose about 405,000 American dead in the course of World War II across 4.5 years. We've lost 300,000 Americans in this country to drugs over the 4 years of the Biden administration, in large measure because the government refused to enforce the law. But listening to these people complain now is a lot like listening to them, standing up and protesting for the rights of the Imperial Japanese Navy in the wake of Pearl Harbor. Okay,
yeah.
The idea that we're now saying, the rights of drug dealers, that is insanity. But it's a behavior we have seen from the Democrat Party time and again. If you go back to Vietnam, which of course JFK and Lyndon Johnson got us into, before that was all over, they were rooting for the communists, right? And that's not too strong a statement. I mean, you remember Jane Fonda was in the anti-aircraft weapon chair shooting at American planes. So,
yep.
And then you look at the Iraq-Afghanistan war. Okay, they actually called Congress back because the Democrats wanted to be on record of voting in favor of it. And before that was all over, they were rooting for the Islamists. And they've done everything they can since then to support that. So this is behavior we have seen, and it is fundamentally communist in nature. I mean, they hate this country, whether they realize it or not. Not all Democrats are communists. They're useful idiots.
Right.
But when you look at the lead up to the Russian Revolution, what Lenin did was he emptied the asylums, he emptied the jails, he created chaos in society, and that's what they've been doing, right? And then Eric Holder crippled a lot of the major city police forces with his enforcement regime, and then from the ground up, they've been doing the same thing with defund the police. This is behavior, and now they flood the country with drugs, right? They didn't just not enforce the law. They made it possible for these drugs to come in. They did everything they could to make them available to the American people. And when you look at the cities across this country with people walking around as zombies, and they think nothing of it. And so now along comes an effort to stop the drugs flowing into the country, to stop the deaths, the overt murder of Americans, and the instability of our cities. And who do they stand behind? The drug dealers, as if people that are unarmed, ununiformed combatants importing drugs to this country have rights under the Geneva Convention. No, they're like pirates. You get to kill them immediately without quarter. Hard stop.
Right.
And you look at it in historical context between the other wars we fought. I mean, yeah, I know you've talked about the 60,000 beautiful Americans dead in the Vietnam War across 13 years. That's very true. But 300,000 Americans in 4 years?
Right.
And a lot of these, there was a kid in Loudoun County, Virginia. He was a high school wrestler, took one pill one time at a party. This is not a drug addict. He died, okay? And everybody forgets these stories.
Right.
Everybody knows somebody that has died as a result of the importation of drugs that the Democrats not only made possible, but encouraged. And they're let me put it there. Pause it there, Chris, because there's history here. There's American dead here as a result of their policies, and this protest that war crimes. This is insane. This is absolute insanity.
Right. No, you're 100% right, and you laid it out all very, very well. You were speaking so well and making your point so clearly and so truthfully and accurately that I just wanted to let you say your piece, because this is really where democracy lives, not on National Panhandler Radio or MS-13, DNC, or CNN. This is where America meets. This is our town hall, and you're 100% right in everything that you've said. You didn't say anything that anyone could take issue with. And I love throwing in that Lenin emptied out the jails and the mental institutions, and the Democrats are doing that now, and our cities are filled. We had a great big mental institution in Washington, D.C. called St. Elizabeth's, and it was a perfect kind of scary old Hollywood insane asylum. I went there once. I was looking for John Hinckley with a camera crew, and we kind of sneaked in and had a fun day there. But it was a big functional insane asylum. John Hinckley was being kept there after he shot Ronald Reagan and several other people. And they shut it down, and the Department of Homeland Security took over because the federal government needed millions of feet more office space. And now we have no insane asylum. So we wait until we throw crazy people out on the street. And it's what we do all over the United States, America, because liberals have fixed the problem. And this is literally their remedy. We throw insane people, mentally ill people out on the sidewalk, and they don't have jobs and they don't have a place to live. And now they're insane, homeless people who eventually commit enough crimes that we throw them in prison, and our prisons become de facto insane asylums, mental institutions, because the government ran insane asylums and mental institutions so poorly that we shut them all down, saying, oh, this is the best thing. And now we have all of our cities are open-air insane asylums because the Democrat Party. But you're 100% right that going back to the Vietnam War and Hanoi Jane sitting on that anti-aircraft gun and posing with a big smile with the communists in the North, and the Democrat Party doing everything they could, fighting for, you're absolutely right, the communists during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And, Uncle Joe, Joseph Stalin, was Uncle Joe during World War II. He was murdering more people than Adolf Hitler, or would eventually anyway. And they think Uncle Joe is cute, Joseph Stalin, the number.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Number 2 or number 3 mass murder.
Just recognize this is all a strategy too, Chris. I mean, that poor Ukrainian girl is dead from stab wounds in Charlotte, North Carolina, because the Democrats put that guy on the street. Okay,
right.
He should have been in an insane asylum 15 years ago. That girl that was burned on a subway the other day, That guy's 75 prior arrests in New York. Who's
Right.
responsible for that? The guy's crazy as a loon. Should have been in. The woman who was killed, who left 4 children behind there in Maryland by an illegal alien. They invited this guy in the country. They shipped him up. The nurse that was killed down in Atlanta, on a jog, 22-year-old nursing student.
That's right.
She was killed because the Democrats wanted this guy in the country. They want this chaos. They hate the country. They want to overthrow it, and they want to,
They're the left.
You sound like your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving dinner until you look at the history and realize that this isn't by chance.
Right. Yeah, it's part of a long-term program, and they want to break the back of capitalism, and you do that by breaking the bank in the United States. We're $37.5 trillion in debt. It would take us more than 1 million years, literally, to pay off that national debt if we were paying it off at $1 a second, but we're not. We're still adding to it. And you're 100% right. The history of the Democrat Party is a stain, not just on the United States, but on Western civilization. And you're right also, about 3,000 people at Pearl Harbor, about 3,000 people killed September 11th. 2001 lost more than 400,000 in World War II, and we lost 300,000 of fatal drug overdoses during Joe Biden's presidency, and maybe even more. And it's not even.
And they're worried about the drug dealers.
And they're literally worried about the drug dealers. Well, and on Morning Joke, they're hugging. Oh, these poor guys. They're the victims of the story, right? They're the heroes of the story. The drug traffickers are, and they're swimming back to the boat, and they just want to live. And I mean, it's Tony Montana. They spent the morning gutting people and hanging them upside down from trees in Venezuela. Then they got on their drug trafficking boats to kill thousands and thousands of Americans. And the American news media, Joe Scarborough and Willie Geist and the inflation device there, the inflatable device, they're all cheering for the drug traffickers. It's just extraordinary stuff. And you're right. Our cities are full of zombies, glassy-eyed zombies all over the place. Just amazing. Amazing. Well, Peter, great call. Wonderful call. You're a very well-informed American. I'm glad that you vote and that you're a citizen. It's too bad that we have these mentally ill Democrats all over the place that also vote. That's a real tragedy. It is. Peter, thank you. Thank you, my friend. This Christmas, as we celebrate the gift of life, and you know what I'm talking about, you have a great opportunity to share that same gift with a mother and her baby, her unborn baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, feeling all alone and unsure what to do. She's searching for hope and for reason, and that's where preborn ministries come in. And boy, do preborn ministries come in. There's no doubt that you know someone whose birth was unplanned. It's not exactly uncommon. God's plan of redemption often works, in the unplanned space. You know that. Every mother that preborn sees, they face a moment of decision when she sees her baby on ultrasound. Hey, there's my little boy writhing about, waving at me, winking. In that moment, that mother in strife has the opportunity to say yes. Preborn's mission is to help find her the courage, the faith, and the support to make the right decision. This Christmas, for just $28, you can help save a life. And thanks to a special matching grant, your gift is doubled from now until the end of the year. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250. The keyword is baby. Or you can go to Al Gore's amazing internet to preborn.com/plant. That's me, preborn.com/PLANTE. What a great thing. Yeah, listen to our callers. Our callers are great. We are on our side. Yes, sir. And Fisher House Day here on the Chris Plant Show coming up. And today and tomorrow, our annual effort with Fisher House, the great people at Fisher House and the Fisher family and great organization. And we're raising funds for the great Fisher House. You can contribute by calling 294-8560. And with that, let's go to our next guest, our wonderful Fisher House guests who are always extraordinary stories. Let's go to Tony Gross. Tony Gross on line 11. And Tony Gross, thank you so much for joining us on the Chris Plante Show today.
Thank you, Chris, for having me on. I'm truly honored to be invited to speak on behalf of the Fisher House and grateful for the healing that the Fisher House has brought into my life. And yes, sir.
I know what I think I know what your experience, how it started with Fisher House. Why don't you tell everybody how you started your relationship with the Fisher House?
Yes. My story begins when my only son, United States Corporal Frank R. Gross, died in Afghanistan July 16th of 2011 of injuries sustained from an improvised explosive device. Excuse me. A few hours later, I was escorted to Dover Air Force Base to attend a solemn ceremony called the Dignified Transfer. Please forgive me. It still affects me.
Of course.
While I waited for the return of my son's flag-covered casket, I lodged at a very special, one-of-a-kind, beautifully appointed mansion. It was the Fisher House for Families of the Fallen. At this Fisher House, I was protected and well cared for by the staff, and the respect and the support that was extended to me and my family by the staff deeply impacted me. So let me catch my breath here for a minute.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Not at all. No, don't be silly. I'm with you.
Thank you. I miss my son deeply. I do. Every day. He was my only son. But I carry on his legacy by volunteering at the Fisher House at the Tampa VA here in Florida. Mm-hmm. I've been a volunteer there since 2012. And I carry on his legacy and his service and sacrifice. And I don't tell the families that I serve there why I'm there. I'm just there helping serve them dinner or listening to them or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm healed by being at the Fisher House.
God bless you, Tony Gross. I'm so happy that you agreed to call in and tell your story. God bless you. The number is 888-294-8560. All right, we've got a lot of great stuff for you. Audio I want to get to, and including Joe Biden. Joe Biden on drug traffickers, narco-terrorists who have the support of the Democratic Party. Before we go to the audio, Michael, let's take another phone call from a great American, because that's who we talk to, and occasionally Mike the Lib calls in. But let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Marcus, calling from Gainesville, Virginia. Marcus, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. Such a pleasure to talk with you. When I get up every morning, I turn you on, and you just have me laughing all the way. I hear many of your callers calling saying the same thing, the way you mix in your humor with serious issues. So I really do appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a former air traffic controller, and of course I'm used to working with transponders on aircraft for identification. So I looked up similar systems for boats, and I've been hearing on the news, about, well, you don't know if you've got good guys or bad guys. Well, I looked up the automatic identification systems for boats that work the same way as they do aircraft with the controllers, and you can identify everyone by you having this device. It should be required that if you're on the open seas, that you should have, especially in the troubled area, that you should have one of these AI systems on your boat. And if you can't be identified, then you have every right to shoot them out. That's just like an enemy aircraft coming in over the United States. If he doesn't identify himself, he can be shot down. So if you've got a boat out there carrying drugs, and of course we can find out where they are because we can identify them. If they don't have that transponder on, they can be taken out.
They're bad guys. It's like IFF in military aircraft to identify friend or foe, right? And these boats coming out of Venezuela, and they have these bales on them, and the military aircraft, manned or unmanned, have the ability to zoom right in and read the newspaper that you're holding in your hand, so they can look at these bales and say, hey, maybe they're bringing in bales of cotton to the United States, but we know they're not, and we see where they're coming out of, and we have guys that communicate with us. We're gathering intelligence in Venezuela. And this port, this pier, these boats, these guys coming out of these trucks and these sheds, they're the ones trafficking in the drugs. And we identify the boats before they ever leave shore, right?
Exactly. So that's just the point that I wanted to make, that identification is available.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I got to tell you, Marcus, we're listening to these crazy media people and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, and I can hardly believe that they say these crazy, crazy things. And I've got more that I want to play for you, actually. And I've got to say, our Democrat Party, our last caller, I don't know if you're listening to Peter out of McLean, Virginia, going on in the brief history of the Democratic Party. These guys, Marcus, they're just not on our side, are they?
No, they're not. But I'll tell you, Chris, one thing that I kind of disagree with you. Uh-huh. A lot of times I do like to hear Democratic Party, not the Democrats, because my wife is a Democrat, some of my kids are Democrats, and they're not bad. So yeah. I'm living in a household where I'm the only a very conservative Republican here. And we have discussions. We can't even watch the news together because it ends up in an argument all the time. Wow. So all Democrats aren't bad. I know that for a fact.
No, I know that for a fact, too. I mention it every now and then. I do have friends that vote Democrat and are Democrat. Some of them have gotten a little more difficult in the last couple of years, but I can think of one family member that doesn't vote correctly, but he's not a crazy big mouth person, so he just says, yeah, whatever, and we move on and get a beer, But I understand your family upheaval, and I understand your Democrats versus Democrat Party thing also. But I got to tell you, recognize it also, Marcus, that so many rank-and-file Democrats just out in the streets of America have become glassy-eyed zombies.
Yes, and by the way, I couldn't call you until my wife left the house. She went to the supermarket. So while she's gone, I can make these calls. But if she's in the house, I don't dare get on the phone and talk to you. That is hilarious. I'm glad you shared that part because that makes your call much more fun for me, I think. Well, that's great. Thanks so much for making my day. I just enjoy you so much, the humor that you inject into things. It makes it tolerable for me to listen to. Well, I appreciate that, Marcus. I genuinely do. It's my favorite thing to hear. I'll look forward to meeting you in person one of these days since we're kind of in the same neck of the woods here. Well, if I had an extra $1 million, I'd donate it to the Fisher House. But unfortunately, that was my great opportunity to meet you, but I have to pass on that this time. Well, we'll find another. We'll have a politics and a pint or something. Oh, that would be great. Thanks a lot. I'll look forward to it. Thank you, Marcus. Great. You had to wait for Mrs. Marcus to leave home, go to the grocery store to make the call. That's great. Yeah, family. You never hear, not often anyway, Democrats saying, I just can't sit down at the table because my Republican father is so argumentative. You really don't hear that. That's, it's the Democrats just, they're intolerance in the name of tolerance. That's their thing. As the old French communists in the 1960s used to use the line, there's, nothing is not to be tolerated except intolerance, right? That makes sense to them. If you're a leftist, that makes sense. You don't understand what the words mean, no sense of irony whatsoever. The only thing not to be tolerated is intolerance. So you're intolerant of intolerance? Okay. French leftist. All right, let's get, thank you, Marcus. Great call. I'll remember your call. That's wonderful. Let's go to the audio. Let's go to Democrat Senator Jack Reed. We were talking about this morning. He's a Democrat senator from Rhode Island. Why does Rhode Island have two senators?
Such a small state with such a small population. How do they have 2 senators? They complain that Montana and North Dakota have 2 senators, and yet California and New York have 2 senators. They think that's unfair, so they want to get guns and steal things from people and loot the Walgreens or whatever. Aren't they amazing? But listen to this guy. I laughed out loud when I heard this yesterday. Jack Reed, Democrat senator from Rhode Island, talking about the drug traffickers. He's on the side of the drug traffickers, and he's trying to spin in favor of the drug traffickers.
Most narco traffickers are not in those boats.
What?
They pay people to do that, and
what?
Usually people who are not significantly involved with narco trading. It's the way they make money.
It's the way they make money. Boy, nothing gets by you, Senator Jack Reed. I tell you, you're not easily fooled. There he is. Wait a minute. I texted as soon as I saw this. I texted Michael Piercy right away. I texted him the soundbite and the time of the soundbite. Senator Jack Reed, Democrat, Rhode Island. Most narco terrorist, it's a narco terrorist, is a narco wood. Most narco traffickers, he says, they're not in these boats. They're not? You mean there are more than 11 narco traffickers? Because there were 11 guys in the boat. You're saying not all of them are in the boats? You're saying most narco traffickers are not in these boats? What? You mean there are more? Wow. And he said, and, they pay people to do that. What? This isn't a volunteer organization? The narco traffickers? They get paid for this? Well, it's a multi-billion-dollar international drug trafficking ring. It's narco traffickers. They're terrorists. They've been designated as terrorists. They only kill tens of thousands of Americans every year. But wait, just the first part made me laugh out loud. Most narco traffickers are not in those boats.
Most narco traffickers are not in those boats.
Wow, you mean more than 50% of them are not in those little boats that we see? I can't believe that. And they get paid to do that. What? They get paid? That's a job? That's a job where they come from. Huh. Yeah. People who aren't even involved. And it's how they make money. He explains at the end of the soundbite, it's how they make money. Boy, this guy knows everything. He's a senator. He's a United States senator. He knows exactly what's gone on in the world. Thank God we have people like Jack Reed in the United States Senate to make clear what's going on in the world so that we all know because of smart guys like him. Boy, most of them aren't on those boats.
It's the way they make money.
It's the way they make money. What? This guy, he knows everything. How did he find out? He must got a classified briefing or something. Wait a minute. Not every one of them is in those little boats, and this is how they make money? Wow. This guy, he's got his finger on the pulse. Yes, sir. All right, let's go because, this one made me laugh, too, and this is one of the good guys. It's Terry Cole, and he is the DEA administrator, Drug Enforcement Agency's the top guy. And he was on the television yesterday, and he said, well, how you doing on, interrupting the flow of drugs into the United States of America? Because they come into the islands in the Caribbean, and then they transferred to different traffickers who bring them into the United States by various means and all that. But here's Terry Cole. He's the DA guy. He's one of the good guys. He really is. And but I had to laugh out loud at their account. Hey, how are we doing on stopping the drug trade coming in, all the drugs coming into the United States?
When cocaine arrives to the Dominican Republic, it's now more expensive. When cocaine arrives to Puerto Rico, it is more expensive.
Wait a minute. It's more expensive? So the government is blowing up boats and blowing up these drug cartel members who are trafficking drugs into the United States that kill tens of thousands. But what he can say, he's not one to exaggerate. He's not prone to exaggeration. Terry Cole, he is one of the good guys. And he said, well, what I can tell you now is that when the drugs get to, so a lot of drugs are still getting to Puerto Rico, a lot of drugs are still getting to the Dominican Republic. We're talking about cocaine specifically now. And the good news is that it's more expensive now. So if your teenage son is like, I'm going to need more money than ever before, it might be because the cocaine is more expensive. So wait, it's gonna. So that Senator Jack Reed, he said, this is how they make money. Oh, and that's not even most of them. Oh, wow, you got it. And then Terry Cole, DEA, again, one of the good guys. When the cocaine arrives in the Dominican Republic, it's more expensive. When the cocaine arrives in Puerto Rico, it's more expensive. That suggests that there's still a lot of cocaine getting to Puerto Rico and to the Dominican Republic. But there it is. It just, maybe that I'm just twisted, but it made me laugh. It's more expensive. More expensive. Hey, cocaine. I guess the cocaine market is like any other market, and prices go up, prices go down. All right, now let's get to the now former, thankfully, President of the United States. You know, the Democrats dropped him. He was supposed to be serving a second term now. Just ask him. His name is Joseph Robinette Biden. Joseph Robinette Biden, a little tiny Robin, a Robinette. And Joseph Biden was a member of the Senate, groping women and pinning them against the walls and things, as a member of the United States Senate in 1989. 1989. Isn't that amazing? And let's see, Michael, who was president then? No, Ronald Reagan. Well, Ronald Reagan left in January of 1989, and George H.W. Bush took over. But H.W. Bush became president after 80 through 88, Ronald Wilson Reagan. He has risen. And the Joseph Robinette Biden in 1989 in the Senate, and talking about how this whole war on drugs thing is not going as well as we had hoped. But listen to the language that he uses. Joe Biden in 1989.
Every president for the past 2 decades, Democrat and Republican alike, has declared war on drugs. And each of them has lost that war and lost it miserably. They lost because they attempted to deal with only part of the drug problem.
What should they do then? Maybe they should do something more aggressive like Donald Trump is doing.
The trouble is that the president's proposals are not big enough to deal with the problem. We think we should do more to stem the flow of drugs across our borders.
More.
And we think we should go one step further.
One step beyond.
Let's go after the drug lords where they live.
What?
With an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco-terrorists.
No safe haven. Narco-terrorists. He calls them narco-terrorists. 1989, Joseph Biden wanted to go after the traffickers, and then his brain died, and he slipped into a coma, and then the Democrats chose him to be president. Wow. He sounds just like Donald Trump. The Democrats would want to put him up on, they put him on trial for war crimes if he had said that last year. You know, from hosting holiday get-togethers to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks, the great people at Omaha Steaks, they deliver the world's best steak experience. And right now, we had a filet last night at home, my best girl and I. And now, during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can get 50% off the entire website at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you and I hang out together, you get another $35 off with the promo code PLANT at checkout, because we know each other. My best girl and I, we love the filet mignons. I had one last night. It was great. Wonderful salad, just great. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. They also carry delicious, mouth-watering burgers, chicken, pork, seafood, and great desserts, too. Right now, you save big on gourmet gifts, great gifts, and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off the entire website. There's Sizzle All the Way sale and an extra $35 off with the promo code PLANT at checkout. Terms apply. See the site for details. Delicious. Yes, sir. And today is Fisher House Day here at the Chris Plant Show. Stay with us.
Most narco traffickers are not in those boats. They pay people to do that. It's the way they make money.
I told him to do that.
Brilliant strategy, sir.
All right, and today is Fisher House Day, as I mentioned, and we love our Fisher House. They're a favorite. We work with Fisher House every year. to help them in the great work that they do. You can donate by calling 888-294-8560 today and tomorrow only. And right now on the line, we have Stacy Thomas, who is now the Director of Corporate and Foundation Relations for the Great Fisher House. And Stacy, thank you for making time for us today.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me, and thank you this is your 23rd year of support for Fisher House, WMAL. Thank you so much. That's incredible.
It is incredible, and we love and our listeners are the greatest. I don't want to say we're better than other listeners, but we have great listeners around here, don't we, in the nation's capital and all that good stuff. And Stacy, now, how did you started quite some time ago, not in the role that you're in now, but with Fisher House long ago. Tell us about that.
Yes, my husband was in the Army, and so Germany was our first station, and we were in the Kaiserslautern area. So I was a military spouse looking for a job and was blessed enough to find the position at Fisher House for assistant manager and Landstuhl. There's 2 Fisher Houses there. And I was there for about 2.5 years, and that was during the height of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So we usually saw, I would say, about 100 families per month. It was constant. Our average stay was about one night.
Wow. Landstuhl being in Germany, the number one stop, the primary stop for our wounded coming out of Afghanistan and Iraq at the time, and you're right, 2005, 2007, well, was the worst time for the wars there. So you started there as a military wife, an Army wife, and you were stationed in Germany. And Landstuhl, everybody knows the military, knows about the military. The hospitals there in Landstuhl have been famous for too long, quite honestly. And tell us what you found appealing about Fisher House.
Well, we were there for military families during an extremely difficult time. I will tell you just a quick story of one night between my husband and I. He was a military police officer, and so he was always on call, and I was on call for Fisher House in case a family came unexpectedly in the middle of the night.
Right.
So we would still make sure and get them a room. So usually I would go home wondering, how the families were doing.
It's such a wonderful group. The phone number is 888-294-8560.